would say early in the fight, Canelo, and earlier in his career, Canelo. But he hasn't been that kind of fighter in recent years.
It'd be interesting, I'll tell you that.
What do you think?
I don't know. You know, it's a big jump to go from 54, which was a step up from 47. Right,
now
so it goes to
to
54, and now he's going to
68?
68. That's so much weight.
A lot of weight.
Do you think Terence Crawford can beat Canelo Alvarez?
Yeah, I think he can win.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to win, but I think he can win.
Max Kellerman surprised many fans when he joined Joe Rogan to share his bold prediction for the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford showdown, breaking away from the mainstream view that favors Canelo's size and experience. While Kellerman acknowledged Canelo's incredible resume, power, and durability against elite opponents, he quickly shifted focus to Crawford's adaptability and ring IQ, which he believes could change the entire narrative of the fight. According to Kellerman, Canelo has been dominant but often relies on a more rigid approach, whereas Crawford thrives on making adjustments mid-fight, switching stances, controlling distance, and exploiting openings as the rounds progress. This ability to think on his feet, he argues, might not only neutralize Canelo's physical advantages, but also give Crawford the decisive edge to potentially dethrone him and spark a new debate over who deserves to be called the true pound for pound. King.
Definitely. Okay, so then little bit of this and that between Canelo and Crawford. I'll give you a list of attributes, and then tell me who do you feel is best in that attribute. First attribute, best jab.
Crawford.
Best defense.
Crawford. Nowadays, Crawford. I would say early in the fight, Canelo, and earlier in his career, Canelo. But he hasn't been that kind of fighter in recent years. Although Crawford is also hittable. With any fighter, when you talk about their defense, the question is not, can they be hit with a shot? You take punches. Everyone, the greatest defensive fighters ever get hit. Pernell Whitaker, Willie Pep, Floyd Mayweather, they all get hit. The question is, can you hit them with combinations? And both guys are hard to hit. With the two-piece, hard to hit.
So who has the best footwork out of the two?
In terms of cutting off the ring, last fight notwithstanding, Canelo has gotten much better at cutting off the ring. But, you know, early in his career, he had a problem with that and was much more comfortable counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford.
Okay.
But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. So you briefly mentioned Canelo's power. So who? I would assume Canelo has the
You'd have to think, unless Crawford, Crawford was on a knockout streak until he moved up to junior middleweight and then failed to stop Madrimov. So, and Canelo, though he has not stopped anyone in a while, we've seen he's a real puncher at 68.
As far as speed, who has a better speed?
You would imagine Crawford, given the fact that he is the naturally smaller fighter, and I would assume he could maintain that advantage going into this fight.
Last attribute, ring IQ.
They both have sky-high ring IQs. If I have to, Crawford. If you ask me again, there's a reason that I think Crawford's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world.
Max Kellerman is making a highly anticipated return to boxing commentary as part of Netflix's broadcast team for the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford super fight on September 13th, 2025, marking his first major on-air role since parting ways with ESPN in 2023. Joining analysts John Anik and Andre Ward, Kellerman will bring his trademark insight and decades of experience to what is expected to be one of the most watched boxing events of the year. At the official announcement, Kellerman described the matchup as a perfect storm and boldly declared that Crawford, not Canelo, currently deserves recognition as the true pound-for-pound king. He acknowledged that Canelo once held that title, but made it clear that in his view, Bud Crawford has now risen to the very top of the sport.
I want to bring up the first member of our broadcast team. He is the best boxing analyst in the sport. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Kellerman.
All right, so I know you guys are excited about this fight, but I don't think you understand what a big deal it is. This is a perfect storm, First of all, Turki Al-Sheikh, we're lucky he happens to be a boxing fan. None of this happens if he doesn't happen to be a boxing fan. It's just none of us are here. Nick Khan, the best in the business. Dana White is the greatest combat sports promoter of my lifetime. And it's his first ever boxing promotion. So that's who's behind what you're gonna see. You know who's the best pound for pound fighter in the world? The most recent one. Bud Crawford. Apologies to the monster and Usyk. Bud Crawford has my vote for best pound for pound. Who was the best pound for pound before Bud? Canelo Alvarez, universally recognized that way. But it's not just these two guys, the last two best pound for pound fighters in the world. There haven't been that many. Before Canelo, who do you have? Before Canelo, Floyd or Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather. Before, you could take the lineage back. There have only been, 25 or 30 fighters who ever lived who you said that's the best pound for pound fighter in the world. These are two of them, the last two. And they're gonna fight in Las Vegas on September 13th. Canelo is 62-2 with 2 draws, 62-2-2. So was Marvin Hagler when Sugar Ray Leonard moved up to fight him and they produced one of the biggest spectacles in the history of boxing. This fight is a perfect storm. I could not be more excited to be a part of it.
Joe Rogan has openly leaned toward Terence Crawford in the Canelo versus Crawford debate, praising his elite versatility, precision, and ring IQ as the keys to giving him the upper hand. Rogan argues that while Canelo has slowed over the years, transitioning from a dynamic combination puncher to relying more on single power shots, Crawford remains one of the most fluid switch hitters since Marvin Hagler, equally dangerous in both orthodox and southpaw stances. On a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan and legendary commentator Jim Lampley clashed over Crawford's chances, with Rogan pointing to Crawford's improved physique and ability to adapt as evidence he could outbox Alvarez. Lampley, however, took a more cautious stance, admiring Crawford's brilliance and even likening him to a modern Sugar Ray Robinson, but warning that Canelo's power, counterpunching, and rock-solid chin, backed by his exceptional lower body, strength, could ultimately neutralize Crawford's offense and prove too much on fight night.
Yeah.
Shoot, what
Go
about
get away.
Crawford and Canelo?
What do you think of that?
Personally, I'm a big Crawford fan, so I'm going to lean his way. My only concern is just the size. It didn't look like Terrence's power transferred in the last fight, so
With
now it's coming up some more. You know what I mean?
Part of the problem with that is Majumov is really good.
Yeah,
he's really fucking good.
I mean, but I just think Crawford is. It's weird to say against Canelo, but I think he's the better boxer, and I think he's the guy who can make the better in-fight adjustments if Canelo doesn't kill him.
It's going to be interesting, I'll tell you that.
What do you think?
I don't know. It's a big jump to go from 54, which was a step up from 47, right?
Now
so it goes to
to
54, and now he's going to
68.
68. That's so much weight.
A lot of weight.
But Terence is, I think he's the best switch hitter since Hagler.
They claim Hagler was my favorite. They claim he's walking around like a $190 or something, and you do know he's a wrestler.
In another interview, Jim Lampley shifted firmly in Canelo Alvarez's corner, predicting that while Terence Crawford may be the most complete fighter in the sport today, the decisive factors in this matchup are size and experience. Lampley argued that Canelo's natural strength at 168 pounds, combined with his extensive history in high-stakes championship bouts, provides him with the physical and mental edge needed to control the fight. Although he acknowledged Crawford's brilliance, adaptability, and all-around skill set, Lampley emphasized that Canelo's proven pedigree and ability to thrive against bigger opponents could ultimately neutralize Crawford's versatility and tip the balance in Canelo's favor.
Canelo's smart. Absolutely, he's smart. He knows this business as well as anybody. So no, it's not surprising that Canelo learned from Floyd and has employed some of that in the retention of his career. Canelo still knows how to make fireworks when he absolutely has to make fireworks. But at the end of the day, he's a counterpuncher. He's a great defender. He has the most solid punch resistance of anybody in the sport. Nobody's ever knocked him off balance. Nobody's ever really knocked him down. There's only one official knockdown in his career, and it was because he bounced off the ropes when Jose Cotto hit him with a hard shot to the chest. And the referee employed a strict interpretation of the rules and said, oh, the ropes held you up, so that's a knockdown. He's never been put on his back by anybody. He rides horseback every morning. His legs are the strongest in the sport. You're not going to beat Canelo.
Eddie Atlas, the legendary commentator, believes that although Canelo Alvarez is an exceptional fighter, Terence Crawford stands out even more, to the point where Atlas refuses to bet against him. He credits Crawford's rare mix of speed, adaptability, defensive angles, and mental toughness as true game changers, emphasizing his razor-sharp ring IQ and ability to switch hits seamlessly. Atlas describes Crawford as that special guy, whose mindset elevates him above others, even while acknowledging the weight gap presents real challenges. Still, he insists that Crawford's unique skill set and unshakable character could be the deciding factors that tilt the fight in his favor.
Maybe he's a little overrated. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds.
Canelo's really good, really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has it. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire. It's in his mind. It's in his makeup, where he came from. I know he's moving up in weight class. Can he carry it? But those intangibles, I believe that he has them.
Stephen A. Smith predicts that Terence Crawford will outpoint Canelo Alvarez by decision, sharing his views on the All the Smoke Fight podcast. While he acknowledged Canelo's greatness and undeniable power, Smith argued that Crawford's speed, movement, and technical mastery, especially his ability to switch stances, will give him the decisive edge. He stressed that Canelo's heavy reliance on power punches could ultimately be his downfall, reasoning that if you can box and you can move, you can beat Canelo. Though he admitted Crawford is not yet fully acclimated to 168 pounds, Smith remained confident that skill, rather than raw strength, would decide the outcome.
Let me tell you what I think should be going. The notion that Terence Bud Crawford should move up 3 weight classes, 21 pounds, to fight Canelo Alvarez. He's entirely too small. Jermell Charlo already proved that. Y'all remember that scene from Rocky? Remember that scene from Rocky 2? When Carl Weathers was Apollo Creed and his trainer was like, can I be honest? I saw you beat this man within an inch of his life. And he kept coming. He wouldn't go away. He's wrong for us, baby. He's wrong. Let it go. Apollo couldn't do it. And lost fight number 2. Trained him for Rocky 3. And then got killed in Rocky 4 by Drago. Because he couldn't let it go. Bud Crawford needs to let it go. Too small.
Even Terence Crawford's jaw-dropping transformation ahead of his clash with Canelo Alvarez has sent shockwaves through the boxing world after leaping 14 pounds from 154 to 168. Now noticeably leaner, more muscular, and frighteningly powerful, Crawford's chiseled physique has sparked fan reactions ranging from "Canelo is in trouble" to cautious warnings about potential drawbacks. While some praise the added strength as a game changer, others worry it could cost him speed or endurance. Olympic bronze medalist Omari Jones applauded Crawford's disciplined training and proper weight gain, noting that Bud trains hard and looks like he put it on the right way, which could give him a serious edge. Still, skeptics argue the leap in weight may affect his stamina and quickness, making this fight a high-stakes gamble for both men.
I just feel like Crawford, he just has the grit, and like me personally meeting Crawford several times, it's like the man is just so competitive. It's like I don't even have to say nothing to him. He'll just like, man, when we sparring, it's like his competitiveness is always gonna put him over the edge, and then he just has that like, I'm not gonna let you bully me, or his skill set. And it, I know they talk about Charlo when Charlo moved up, but I feel like it may be a little bit different for Canelo this time around, because Crawford took the moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that, it's a win-win.
During his appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience, Terence Crawford detailed the variety in his training, regimen, explaining how running, swimming, strength work, and plyometrics each serve a targeted purpose, from improving cardiovascular endurance to protecting joint health. He highlighted swimming as a key factor in building lung capacity and speeding recovery, while also noting that he limits weightlifting to about 20 pounds, focusing on maintaining agility and quickness rather than relying on brute strength.
Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. Some of them be hard. That's just how it is. You can't replace, I would say like tech sparring and like soft sparring from, a comparison to get ready for a fight. Because you fight how you spar how you fight. And if I'm in there just doing this, catch, then when the fight come and everything is full blast, full speed, I'm not gonna be able to keep up because I didn't train that way.
Right.
I can hit the bag, I can hit the miss, all that I want, but nothing's coming back.
Right.
I'm not feeling that presence of a person pushing me, hitting me, holding me, things like that. So sparring is very important. And not saying that you have to, go hard every single time you spar, but there gotta be days where, that fighter is trying to put
veteran. Commentator Al Bernstein outlined the keys to victory in the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford showdown, stressing that Canelo must impose his strength and dictate the rhythm, particularly in the mid to late rounds where pressure could decide the fight, while Crawford cannot rely solely on agility, but must use smart movement, distance control, and ring generalship to neutralize Canelo's physicality. Meanwhile, Joe Rogan has openly admitted he's so captivated by this matchup that he plans to watch it live, though not everyone shares the same enthusiasm for this highly promoted fight.
Most fans or most people would probably say Crawford, I'm guessing, because that's a big part of how he's won, and everybody feels that and rightfully so, that the way he's figured out, he's constantly changing from lefty to righty. He's a person that alters his attack. Sometimes he's a boxer, sometimes he's walking people down. Canelo's style is more the same in most fights. He is a counterpuncher who's waiting for you to make your move so he can counterpunch you. Then when he has you in trouble, he's willing to move forward. His attack is a pretty straightforward one. On the face of it, you might say Crawford, but I think the thing about Canelo Alvarez is that he has seen every style that you can see.
Juan Manuel Marquez has dismissed the idea of Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford, bluntly admitting he doesn't like the fight and arguing that weight classes exist for a reason. He points to Crawford's jump from 154 to 168 pounds as unrealistic, recalling a recent performance where Crawford already looked slower and less powerful, insisting the added weight will only hinder him further without boosting his punching strength, emphasizing that his stance isn't about disrespecting Crawford's talent, but about preserving the integrity of boxing's divisions.
I don't like the fight because Terence Crawford is a good fighter, but in the sport of boxing, has divisions. You know what I mean?
Right, weight classes.
Yeah, weight classes
for a reason.
Weight classes and Terence Crawford is a good fighter in super lightweight, welterweight, super welterweight, but I think more. I remember when Terence Crawford fought with Madrimov.
Yes.
He looks slow, He looks with no power, and three more divisions. Two more divisions. I think it's a top fight for Terence Crawford, but Terence Crawford is a great fighter. He has a great defense. He has a good combination punches, but I think the weight class is no good for him.
Who do you have taking it? Canelo's brute strength and experience, or Crawford's razor-sharp boxing IQ? Share your prediction in the comments.